Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Unbettable. I'm Mondo here with Holmes, and on today's episode, we have no Gary, but what we do have are studs and duds. We're going to talk a little tush push controversy. We're going to see what the impact of facial hair has on betting. Holmes is going to go through the wonderful world of college baseball, and then I will outro this thing. Holmes, how was your weekend, buddy?
Shoot, it was busy, man. I apologize to everyone out there that didn't get any college baseball picks. I did not put any out this weekend for a couple reasons. Number one, I was really busy. Didn't really have much time to look too in depth into the games, into the matchups. Didn't want to put out anything I wasn't confident in. And then number two, I'm gonna tell you right now, through a couple weeks, got my ass kicked a little bit. It's been hard. It's been a hard couple weeks, but this weekend we're back on the grind. We have midweek games going on tonight. There's going to be some more midweek games going on tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some plays for Wednesday night, depending on what type of lines are available. But to put that out there for all of you, the plays will be back, I promise. But very busy. Very, very busy. How about you, my guy?
Well, I guess the episode of apologies because I'm sorry for missing the last two episodes. I've had a shit show of a past week. I mean, Tuesday I was out at an event, and then Thursday slash Friday, I know you guys pushed back recording a day, but I was actually on the road to Tampa. I went to a wedding, Julie's older brother, had a blast, met the extended family, um, had a lot of fun, but definitely exhausted.
I bet.
So
I bet.
it feels good to be back home, get back into the swing of things. And with that, there's no better way to kick it off than studs and duds. So Holmes, who was your stud?
All right, dude, I'm going to go with Alex Ovechkin.
Mm-hmm.
My guy is 13 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky. Yes, Wayne Gretzky, the great one. His goal record of 894. He just got a hat trick Sunday night against the Edmonton Oilers. And this is just an incredible story because he broke his fibula earlier in the season. And he was back after 5 weeks. To put that
Oh,
into perspective, this guy broke his leg playing one of the hardest and most physical sports there is on the planet that puts a lot of strain on your lower half. And he came back in 5 weeks and is still doing what he has done for years in the league, and that is scoring goals. So shout out to Alex Ovechkin, 13 goals away from history.
yeah, dude. I'm gonna stick in the hockey realm. I know you guys hit on it a lot on Thursday slash Friday. Uh, but the Four Nations face off, what
Oh yeah.
a unbelievable tournament.
Hmm.
Easily the best mid-season event that has ever been introduced in any sport I've ever watched. Um, Loved it from start to finish. Upset that the US couldn't win it all, but there were 10 million people that tuned into this game.
Hmm.
And just to put that into perspective, that is the highest audience in the history of any hockey broadcast
Yep.
ever. So that was it was unreal to watch. Everyone was tuning in. I was literally listening to it on the road. Julie wanted to kill me, but hey, we do what we got to do at the end of the day.
Yep.
So yeah, Four Nations face off needs to stick around a lot longer. Unbelievable tournament. Well, fucking done. Holmes, give me your dud.
Yeah, before I go into it, just to piggyback off of you, man, I am so excited for what all of that hype is now going to bring to Olympic hockey in
Mm-hmm.
2026. There's going to be so many eyeballs on that. I mean, this was just an appetizer. That main course, ooh, the Olympics are going to hit. It's going to be
Unreal.
awesome. Dud. I'm going to go with the NFL Combine as a whole because we're starting to get some of the news coming out about players that are not going to be participating in the Combine. They're not going to be running in the 40-yard dash. They're not going to be doing the broad jump. They're not going to be doing their vertical. They're not going to be doing all this different stuff. Ashton Genty, I think, was one of the first that I saw that wasn't going to be participating in it. Abdul Carter, I'm pretty sure from Penn State, just said today that he was not going to be participating as well. Albeit we'll still get to get a look at these guys during their pro days and doing some of the combine drills that they would be doing at the NFL Combine. But for me, I just feel like year after year, this event gets more and more watered down. There are less guys that are choosing to participate. I feel like it was a more exciting event 5, 10 years ago when even these guys that you didn't necessarily get to watch all the time in college, this was that stage where maybe you got to get a little taste of who they were before draft night, before they get into the NFL. I feel like we're not really getting that anymore. The hype and the excitement really isn't there for it anymore. This is just one part of the off season that I just don't really care for anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's somebody's cup of tea. So,
Yeah, gotta be.
my dud is the New York Knicks. Although they are a 3 seed, they have not performed like it.
Nope.
They blew up essentially what was one of the deepest rosters in terms of personnel and picks to get Cat and Bridges, and I don't. It just hasn't panned out as well as I thought it would, and I think as well as most people thought it would. Granted, like I said, they are a 3 seed right behind Celtics and Cavs, so they're a good team, but it, I don't think they made the right moves, and I think it's starting to reflect a little bit, especially as we go on in the season. I'm definitely starting to fade a lot of the Knicks. I just don't trust it. I don't trust their ability to stay on the court with a Thibodeau led rotation that is heavy on starters.
Yeah,
So big time dud for me. Although they're playing well, kinda. I'm fading the hell out of the Knicks. Absolutely.
fair enough.
I mean, you have to, man. Like
Yeah,
they were so deep, had such a deep roster, and then it's just fallen apart.
the Tibbs factor in it too. I just that's tough for me to for him to play his starters as much as he does and
Mm-hmm.
putting so much wear and tear on these guys. Like, I mean, that's why you have your bench for a reason. These guys are supposed to come out and relieve some of that pressure off of the starters. And like you said, as deep as they were last year, they could depend on those bench guys to come in and give them pretty reliable minutes. They weren't just guys that were just going to come in there and try to give the starters as much as they can in terms of a break. Like these guys were going out scoring, making plays, actually putting the Knicks in a good spot to contend. But like you said, with them not really having that depth anymore, you're so reliant on your starters, and there's just going to come a time, especially in the playoffs and all these 7 game series, they're going to get gassed out, man. It's a lot of basketball to be played.
Yeah, I mean it. It's going to be interesting to watch them down the stretch. You get that little break for All Star Weekend, but still, it's just like you would think he would have learned last year not to heavily rely on the starters like that, but I guess not. It is what it is.
Too stuck in his ways.
But yeah, I mean, if you thought we were just going to talk NBA, NHL, and the sports that are on and just skip over football, you're 100% wrong. Today, Holmes, I don't know if you saw it, but there's a big play controversy in the NFL. The Green Bay Packers have proposed a deal to ban the tush push starting next year. With that, 24 of 32 owners would have to approve the ban in order for it to go through. And obviously, the Eagles, being who they are already complaining about it. Nick Siriani quoted as saying, "It is unfair and it's insulting that they think it's an automatic play." And then he goes on to say that the tush push is not easy to do. Holmes, care to comment?
I don't know, man. All this is kind of odd. I mean, we've heard all of the controversies there are to have about this play over the past couple years, and I just keep going back to the same couple of things. If you don't like it, stop it. Or figure out how to do it so that you can also use it for your offense. That's the one thing that I'm not understanding. I think I saw the stat today out of I think 34 times they did it in the season. They were successful 28. So it's a big margin. I mean, yeah, they were successful a lot, but there's also 6 times in there where they weren't. So
Yeah.
somebody knew how to stop it. Somebody was able to put a formation together to make sure they didn't get that extra yard, half yard, couple inches. Like there are ways to stop it. And me being a Bucks fan, I've seen it up close and personal. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen the Bucks actually stop it at the goal line, no less. So there's ways for it to get done. There's ways for you to implement it in your offense. You just have to figure it out. You got to watch a lot of tape. You really got to see what the hell that the Eagles do to make this work because they're not just going to give away their secrets. I got to give them credit for finding out that this works so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is just it's a very unorthodox play. It's not something that we've ever seen before, but further back than only the past couple years. But they've found out that it works. They're not breaking any rules as far as I know doing this. They're just making a smart football play. And until somebody's able to figure out how to legitimately stop it on the football field or recreate it on the football field, everybody's just going to get really pissed off about it. And there's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing that should be done about it in terms of banning it.
Yeah, I mean, for them to say that, it's like a hard play to do is kind of ridiculous to me. You get two people who can squat 400 pounds and you shove the quarterback straight up the lineman's ass to get him in the end zone.
Mhm.
Like it's a no-brainer play. And I think teams are focused way too much on how to stop it instead of how to recreate it. And that's
Mhm.
where the issue is lying right now. I have no problem with it. I mean, it's a gritty football play. It's a natural Philadelphia Eagle type play. I don't really see an issue with keeping it around, especially since I was cashing big time on Jalen Hurts anytime touchdowns throughout the year, and I know you were too.
Yeah.
So, like, from a betting perspective, I'd prefer them keeping it around. I prefer more teams try and recreate this with their quarterbacks. It could 100% lead to a lot more cash being made. I think it's a terrible idea to ban it. I really do. I think it's going to be a detriment to the game. And, you can't always change the rules just because you can't figure out how to do something. That's
Yeah.
very childish behavior, switching stuff up like that. And I don't really like it. Um, but yeah, just such a weird. Also, the Packers of like all the teams, the Packers.
I thought it would have been the Chiefs, to be honest.
Yeah, how is it the Packers doing this? I don't know. But yeah, it's just such a weird thing. And speaking of weird stuff, there's been a lot in the news these past couple of days, regarding facial hair. Now, as you can tell, I did clean up my beard, and that is big news. But what we're talking about is my favorite baseball team, the New York Yankees, have officially lifted the facial hair policy that has stood for years upon years upon years. Um, I got to be honest, I don't hate it. I thought it was kind of overdone up to this point. I did like it back in the day when, the boss was around and he would call in between innings to tell people to go shave. That was cool. That was entertaining. With him gone, it's a completely different Yankee culture. His son's not the greatest at what he does. And, I just think it's time for a change. So I like the little beard action. I think if you've ever heard of the Samson you know story in the Bible, I think it's in the Bible. I'm not very religious. I should be better. I'm sorry. Um where he has all the strength with the hair. Isn't that the thing, Holmes?
Yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask about this, man.
Yeah, so there's a guy around here somewhere in a book. Um, he gets strength with his hair being long, and I think this could be a good thing for the Yankees. I think we could get stronger. I think we could upset the Dodgers, and I think we'll look very good doing it because they have to be manicured beards. Holmes, do you have any comment? Uh, Yankees, religion, otherwise so.
Nothing on religion, I will say. Anything for the Yankees, I mean, not a whole lot. I kind of agree with you. This is a very outdated policy. This is something that I always just found strange. Definitely seeing different players that go to the Yankees have to shave everything off, and I'm like, wow, that's what you look like? That's pretty crazy. So
Mm-hmm.
is, I guess, the interesting part about it. But yeah, man, it's a different time. Like, let the dudes do what they want to do. And kind of to your point a little bit, they might play better, bro. The guys
Yeah.
might actually be like happier in the clubhouse because they're able to grow out beards and facial hair now. I mean, I will say, you and I know this as baseball players. Baseball is the most superstitious sport by far. I
Yep.
mean, think about it like this. If there's three guys, maybe four guys on the team with a beard, all these guys are raking, having grade A Bs. The dudes that don't have a beard are gonna look at him and be like, damn, maybe the beard's got the power. I gotta hop on that. Like, I'm telling you, there's gonna be some weird juju that goes around with guys that play well with the beard or don't play well with the beard. There's superstitions all around in the game, man. So who knows what this could bring in terms of extracurriculars?
Yeah, I mean the playoff beards used to help the Red Sox back in like 2018 winning
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
And I mean it's been helping the Lakers lately too. Those long road trips, the coaching staff's growing out some stashes.
Mhm.
I got to be honest, JJ Redick looks incredible with the stash. It looks great. Uh,
I will say too, playoff hockey, those dudes live for the beard. You should see
yeah.
those guys growing out facial hair during the playoffs.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I think it could be something good for the Yankees. I really do. I think this is a year change and we're ready for it. I will say it is pretty cool. Aaron Judge has promised not to grow a beard. That's captain right there. That's why he's the captain. I love that. I love that the captain is not growing the beard. I hope that sticks around because that's awesome. Awesome.
To be fair, he's probably one of the only dudes on that team that I can legitimately not picture having
Mm-mm.
facial hair in my head. Like I can't do it. I don't know.
No, no,
I would be scared to picture that, I think.
dude. But yeah, needless to say, I'm hammering overs for the Yankees this season. 100%. They
Respect.
are my future for the World Series. I am all in on this. I love it. Holmes, it's been a little while. I've been a little bit out of the loop. And perhaps most notably, I haven't been able to watch much college baseball over the past week. So I was hoping you could break down for me and for a couple other people listening to the pod what is going on in the realm of college baseball.
Yeah, man, we'll give it our best shot here. Like I said at the outset, I didn't get to watch a whole lot this weekend, but I was keeping up with as much as I could in different news outlets, podcasts, highlights, videos, all this different kind of stuff. We'll touch on Florida at the very end. We'll kind of have a little discussion on Florida baseball. Some of the most notable things coming away, at least from the outset of the season. Ohio State, we talked about these guys a couple of times. This is going to be one of the best teams in the Big Ten. They can hit with the best of them, but their Achilles heel is the bullpen. Their bullpen arms are giving up a lot of runs. I would look toward overs in Ohio State games. Granted, on Hard Rock, they don't always put out the run lines or the totals for college baseball games. A lot of times it's just money lines. And even if they drop the totals or the run lines, it's really close to game time. So you really got to be keeping up with that. But Ohio State is a really good team. They can hit really well, but the pitching, little subpar, has got some work to do. Alabama, speaking of the team that had a massive comeback against Ohio State because their bullpen blew it. They had a 10-run comeback against Ohio State. That's how bad the bullpen played against Alabama. But these boys have been on fire. Alabama is a very, very good team to watch out of the SEC. And I don't think, especially on my end, they did not get as much love coming out of the preseason just because of all the other talented teams that there are in the SEC. Bama has looked really, really good, and that's a team we should definitely be looking to take a little bit more advantage of. On the flip side, in the SEC, Mizzou is the most pathetic team in the SEC by far. UCF just absolutely ran their cheeks the other night. Alabama State, I think, did the same thing. And then I think they barely edged out a win against Florida A&M, a not very good mid-major team. So this Mizzou team in the SEC is going to be a pretty much automatic fade, I would say, going the rest of the way. USF looked very impressive as a mid-major. They beat Iowa and Georgia Southern in what were they, series, I guess, just on the weekend. Yeah, they were not midweek games. They were three-game series. So they won two series, one against Iowa, one against Georgia Southern. Very, very impressive. This is going to be a team to look out for. And this weekend against UCF, that's going to be a really interesting series as well. UCF has been playing very well. Another team in the state of Florida that's been looking hot. We'll be looking to take advantage of them as well. So a good series to watch this weekend. And then Texas A&M, we just got word that Gavin Grahovic, one of the stars of this Texas A&M roster, he just tore his labrum. He is going to be out for the rest of the season. This is a massive hit to the Texas A&M squad. Big, big offensive producer last season for this team. Texas A&M. This is going to test the depth, the versatility of this team. Obviously, they are still number one, and they did unfortunately drop a game to an unranked mid-major, I believe, this past weekend. I forget who the team was, but they are going to take some time to find their footing. They're kind of in the space as Virginia is right now. Both teams are pitching very well, but they cannot hit for shit. They cannot hit. I mean, if you look at some of the stars on Texas A&M, 150, 175, 200 averages, they're not looking good. So it's going to take a little bit for some of these teams to get their bats rolling and start out hot. But I think hopefully once we start getting closer to conference play, some of these teams should be rounding into form, knowing the type of competition that they're going to be playing, especially in the ACC, some of the good teams out there in the ACC as well. Now we'll hit on Florida. The 7-0 start, the boys have been looking good. I mean,
Yes,
we're watching the game right
sir.
now. I have it up midweek against Stetson. This is going to be an actually really, really good test for us tonight against this Stetson team. They're 4-3 right now, but Stetson has looked really good so far. A very impressive mid-major team from everything that I have seen from the team so far. But Florida, man, one of the biggest questions, I guess, that we had coming into the season, and you made this a point, the pitching.
Hmm.
Give me now your analysis on what you've seen out of Gators pitching so far, 7 games in.
Look, man, they've looked good. They've
Yeah.
looked good. A lot of them have taken a lot of big steps in the offseason. I'm very impressed.
Yes.
The question is just going to be, can they continue to do this? I mean, they have been lights out.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we've been playing great competition too. Like they have been dicing.
Mhm.
So I think they're looking good. If they can keep this together, if they can stay healthy, I think we gotta. I mean, we're definitely going to Omaha. That's for sure. I think we'd be able to win it too if the pitching keeps up. Keeps.
Yeah, I mean, just from what we've seen so far, again, the competition hasn't been the
Mhm.
best by any means, but to have these guys getting started out on the right foot was very, very important. And that was big what you said too. All these guys have taken strides.
Yeah.
Watching Liam Peterson on Friday nights, poise, control, his stuff looks so much better than last year. His
Mm-hmm.
command is so much better. Jake Clemente, he's one of the guys that he'll get off to a little bit of a rough start, maybe walk some guys, maybe give up a
Yeah.
hit, maybe a run or two. But man, after the first or second inning, dude locks in and he knows what he needs to adjust. And he's looked really good. Pierce Coppola, I mean, Jesus, that guy, it
Dice.
looks like friggin' Randy Johnson on
Mm-hmm.
Sundays. I mean, the arm slot, the speed, the command. He was a guy last year, too. Even in the limited playing time coming off of injury, there were some worries because there was a lot of rust. He was walking a lot of guys, was not finding the zone as consistently as he needed to. That is like the opposite of what he has looked so far this season. So very impressive so far from the Gators pitching staff. And I mean, hitting, we don't really need to say much more. We've been knocking the shit out of the ball. I mean, everybody has been pretty much putting in their work up at the plate. Brody Donay has been looking amazing so far. Hayden Yost is looking like he's breaking out in a little his sophomore season. Brendan Lawson, the freshman at first base that we talked about, the guy that they really wanted his bat in the lineup, he's starting to heat up a little bit. A grand slam over the weekend. There's just so much to like about this team right now, dude. It's very exciting. I'm sure as we start getting into conference play, games are going to be a lot tighter. We're going to start testing ourselves a lot more against better competition. But it's great to see this team getting out on the right foot now, not botching some of these games against inferior teams, making dumb mistakes, making um, just all the mental mistakes that we saw this team make last year against this inferior competition. We lose these midweeks. We lose a game on the weekend when you know you should be sweeping Air Force. You should be sweeping Dayton. You should be beating the hell out of
Mm-hmm.
these teams. Bolster the record now because it's only going to get harder down the stretch.
Agreed. How do you feel about the eight seed ranking right now?
Kind of confused, to be honest. A little confused.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should be higher, but I also understand the part of like, we just haven't really played anybody so far. It's just the competition really hasn't been there just from a strength of schedule standpoint. So maybe we'll play our way into that top five pretty soon. But I think if we're able to get a win tonight against Stetson, I have to look again tomorrow and see who our second midweek opponent is tomorrow. But if we are able to look good for the rest of this week, especially with two midweek wins, I think that says a lot, especially last year when we weren't able to win these midweek games, and this was like our Achilles heel.
Mm-hmm.
We can turn it around and show that we have it under control this year and can beat these in-state rivals, can look good against the teams we're supposed to look good against. I think we'll be able to climb a little bit for sure.
All right, you heard it here. We're gonna be climbing. We'll see you in
Yes,
Omaha.
sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy this episode, please make sure to like, subscribe, share with everyone you know. We will see you on the next episode. Peace.